What's up, Elite Army? This is your kinda well, kinda toxic host, Sarah Rittendale, bringing you another episode of Wellish. This is one of the coolest topics because it actually gives you real action steps to take in order to work on your self-love. So if all else fails, you can really look at these or turn to these as a little bit of comfort in knowing that you are actively working on loving yourself. Because really, it can feel like you're doing a lot of sitting around and waiting if you're just sitting there waiting for the negative things to come up. And, that's not what building self-love is not just waiting for those negative things to come up so that you can assert your self-love in places. It's an everyday practice. Just because we're constantly thinking things all of the time, we're always experiencing negative things, even if it's not an actual negative circumstance. It's just, how we look at ourselves in the mirror and we automatically say something bad about ourselves. It's something we face every day. But if you are just feeling like you could be putting more effort into self-love, or that you just don't feel like you have the opportunity to practice as much as you would like, this is something that you can focus on that will make you feel really good, because it'll make you feel like you are actually doing something to improve your self-love. You'll have real evidence that you are working on it, that you can reflect on and be like, damn, I did that. I made sure that I was taking care of myself in this way to make myself feel good in this way. You'll be able to turn around and say that, like, yes, I did this, instead of just thinking about it all of the time. Because that's kind of what can happen, is you're spending so much time thinking about the way that you love yourself. And if you're not taking any physical, real out in life action, it can feel like you don't have anything to show for it. So these are real action steps that you can choose to or to not take to just add a little bit extra fluff to your self-love practices. If you're not already familiar with love languages, it is a concept created by Dr. Gary Chapman that describes the different ways that people interpret and express love. He talks about this in his book called The 5 Love Languages. The book was intended for romantic relationships, and so that's typically how people will interpret this in terms of a significant other and how you should be being treated and they should be treating you. But the thing is, everybody wants to experience love, and you can use this model in any relationship, including the relationship that you have with yourself. I'm going to list off to you what the 5 love languages are and the descriptions of each. Words of affirmation: expressing affection through verbal compliments, words of appreciation, and encouragement. Acts of service: showing love by doing helpful things for your partner, like cooking a meal, running errands, or helping with tasks. Receiving gifts: feeling loved when receiving thoughtful gifts or gestures that show care and consideration. Quality time: feeling most connected and loved when spending quality, undivided attention with your partner, engaging in meaningful activities or conversations. Physical touch: feeling loved through physical contact, like hugs, kisses, cuddling, or holding hands. The way the book goes is that people typically have one that they really resonate with. Sometimes there's like a subtopic that, you have one that you really resonate with, but there's also a second one that is like a runner-up to that first one, and then they trickle down. But really, the truth is, a relationship should have all 5 of these, and it would make somebody feel exceptionally loved if they did all 5 of these love languages for you, and vice versa. There is a test that you can take online if you're interested in knowing what your love language is, if you just Google love language test. And if you already have done the love language test, it might be in your favor to either do it if you haven't done it in a while, or do it and think about yourself while you're taking the test compared to having a romantic partner in mind. Now, when you're taking the test, it is figuring out what your love language is. So you are already taking this test thinking about you, but it might help to not think of it in a romantic relationship essence, like what you would need out of a partner, and thinking of the ways that you would need love coming from you. It could produce a different result. It's likely it won't, but just an idea. Knowing your specific love language will be beneficial so that you have the knowledge of what to focus on, so that as you live your daily life, it'll be easier to recognize areas that you could pay a little bit more attention to your self-love language, but obviously making sure that you keep all 5 of them in your mind so that you can show up for yourself in all of the areas whenever you need it. I want to give you a few examples of how you can really do this for yourself, because it is so trained that it is for another person that it maybe would feel a little bit more realistic with painting more of a picture of how you would start to apply this to yourself so that you can really, again, add to your self-love. It's not necessary. I mean, kind of, because they do correlate into other topics that we've discussed throughout the series, but it is more of just like something that you can do a little bit extra, like we were talking about. So what does this look like? Words of affirmation might seem a bit obvious. I mean, it is talking nice to yourself, but if you want to be a little bit more intentional about actually doing the act of love and using words of affirmation, this could look like saying or writing down affirmations to yourself. It could be talking to yourself in the mirror and giving those affirmations, or just being nice to yourself by looking in the mirror, having a conversation with you. It's writing things down in a journal, like writing a letter to yourself in your journal and telling you how proud you are of you, or talking to your child version in a letter, telling her all of the things you've accomplished and what a wonderful person she is. It could be making lists of your strengths, lists of your achievements, lists of places you've traveled, lists of things that make you feel good, a description of who you view yourself as. Just anything that you intentionally take the time to talk to yourself in a way that makes you feel good. Acts of service could be making sure that your bills are paid, taking care of the shit that you've been procrastinating on for forever, cleaning your house, making sure you have your groceries stocked, making yourself a nice meal to eat that night. Doing something that will make future you happy, that you are helping yourself out for the long term. Maybe you clean off your desk area over the weekend so that you have a nice space to come to on Monday. Something that's going to make your life a little bit easier and you're having future yous back. Receiving a gift can be a little difficult because when you are receiving gifts from another person, it's really them showing that they were thinking about you, that they care about you, whatever the situation is. So it feels like less of a surprise when it's coming for you. But when it comes to your self-love and feeding into the gifts, it's buying yourself the goddamn top because you fucking want it. It's making sure that your living space looks the way you do, even if you are slowly collecting things over time. It's making it a priority to regularly get a haircut, to get your nails done, to do your hair, whatever, if that is something that's important to you. It's putting intention into buying a piece of clothing every time you get a paycheck instead of continuing to complain about how much you hate your closet. It is walking through Target and going to the Joanna Gaines home goods section and fucking buying something out of there instead of just wishing that you could and never actually putting money into it, but you can go to dinner with your friends several times a week. It's doing something nice for yourself. It's not thinking that, oh, I wish I had that. Oh, I wish I had that. Oh, I wish I had that. And just pouring all of your money into the things that you should be spending your money on, but actually taking a moment to spend your hard-earned money on something for you for once. And when I say for once, if you're the type of person that's like, oh my God, I spend my money way too much on things that I like, it's a way of giving yourself permission to spend money on yourself, that you don't have to feel guilty for having spent that money because you'll know that it was intentionally meant to be spent as a gift for you. Quality time, doing something that you actually want to do, that you are 100% spending time either, and it could, I was gonna say with yourself, but it can be with other people too, if that's like genuinely how you want to spend your time, but making sure that you are spending quality time doing something, that you're not caught up in your work and thinking about all of the bullshit that you have to deal with there, caught up with drama with some people, caught up, thinking about all of the things that you have to get done this week, that you're actually spending time and intentionally enjoying what you're doing just for a little while, just to spend that time with yourself and make yourself feel good for, even if it's 20 minutes. Physical touch, we have to get a little more creative again, because we don't have another person, and that's what this model is really intended for, is with a romantic partner. But it really isn't that hard if you think about it. It could mean masturbation if that's what you want it to mean, and that would be something that I know a lot of sex experts talk about, that that's a really good thing to be engaging in. So you can obviously go that route with it, but it can also mean cuddling up with a cozy, soft blanket, wearing something that feels good on your skin. Drinking a warm drink or holding a warm drink in your hands can feel really good. Sitting by a warm fire, maybe having a heated blanket or something like that. You can go to the beach and put your toes in the sand. You can take a bath and use a Lush bath bomb that you bought at the store because that was your receiving gifts thing for yourself. You can go for a walk and feel the fresh air on your face. Just doing something that is, it has to do with you paying attention to the sensations that your body is experiencing. What would feel good for you? I mean, even if you wanted to do something with your hands, like sculpture clay or fuck it, Play-Doh or something like that, something to just, that feels good and just kind of meditates you out. It numbs your brain out so that you can just have some moments of silence and self-reflection and time with you. Even though it's not necessary to do this in order to love yourself, it's necessary to show up for yourself in all the areas that an opportunity presents itself to. It's a really nice way to think about showing up for ourselves. And it's a really nice way to put a little bit extra intention into being able to love ourselves. It's something for us to focus on. It gives us clear direction on things that we can be doing to love ourselves more. And so it makes it more entertaining and fun and fast-paced and enjoyable to really think about and give ourselves permission to do these things that make us feel good and make us enjoy our life. The more you are intentional about prioritizing your self-love is the more that it will grow. Thank you so much for tuning in to day 25 of the 28 Days of Self-Love. Make sure to subscribe to the show so you can come back tomorrow for day 26, where we're meeting with our last guest of the series, Shannon McBride. She dives into her very vast transformation from extreme self-hatred to being at a place that she absolutely loves herself and loves her life. She was really inspirational to listen to and has some really good things to focus on to get us through the self-love journey and make us feel a little bit less alone. Thanks so much again for listening. Make sure your day kicks ass and do not forget how elite you really are. Thanks, guys. Talk to you tomorrow.